Trump and Vance, they decided to disparage a woman killed by ICE. We talked about this story yesterday, but the update is Trump and Vance got in on the action, and well, here it is. Put it up full mass. What you saw, in my opinion, was murder. Yesterday, we broke the news to you after a 37-year-old, Renee Nicole Good, was shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minnesota. It took less than a day for Trump and Vance to disparage her name to others. Trump posted to social media, quote, "I have just viewed the clip of the event which took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It is a horrible thing to watch. The woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator, and the woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting, who then violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense." Trump wrote this on social media on his Truth Social post, directly contradicting a statement from the local police department via the chief of police, Brian O'Hara. Quote, "Based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive, but is recovering in a hospital. The situation is being studied in its entirety, but the reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting, and targeting our law enforcement officers and ICE agents on a daily basis. They are just trying to do the job of making America safe. We need to stand by and protect our law enforcement officers from this radical left movement of violence and hate," Trump concluded. I'm going to get into what the chief said in just a moment, but understand that Trump's contextualization is political. It's political. Radical left, far left, it's political. And then he gets into the insanity of defending the officer. So he has to disparage the victim, defend the officer. You do know that if the officer was justified, the powers that be, the control mechanisms, would not have to jump in and say, oh, it's actually this. If it was justified, other people outside of the administration would be the ones saying these things clearly. But because it's not justified, because there is no actual justification for what seems to be clear-cut murder, you have Trump putting his finger on the scale. You have the Department of Homeland Security. They decided to put their finger on the scale, trying to artificially weigh this into an element of defense. And it's not. There's more. O'Hara, the chief, spoke at a press conference. We're talking about the local chief of police, spoke at a press conference earlier in the day and said, quote, "We arrived and found a woman with a gunshot wound to the head. Life-saving measures were performed at the scene, including CPR. The woman was transported to Hennepin County Medical Center, where she has since been pronounced deceased." Let's put up the chief. The chief also added, "The preliminary information that we have indicates that this woman was in her vehicle and was blocking the roadway on Portland Avenue, midway between 33rd Street and 34th Street in the city. At some point, a federal law enforcement officer approached her on foot, and the vehicle began to drive off. At least 2 shots were fired. The vehicle then crashed on the side of the road. Minneapolis police officers secured the crime scene and assisted in trying to preserve the evidence that is there. Keep up the chief for a moment. The federal police, which ICE is considered to be federal police, and the local police, they have 2 varying accounts of what happened. What the chief just described to you is murder. That's what the chief has just described to you. If there's somebody who is committing the heinous crime of blocking the roadway on Portland Avenue, midway between 33rd Street and 34th Street in the city, that is not a punishable crime by death at all. If somebody is guilty of that offense, that is not punishable by execution. If the vehicle began to drive off, as the chief said, and 2 shots are fired as the vehicle is driving off, that is murder. No fleeing suspect, etc., nothing. Vehicle driving off, 2 shots were fired. That's what the chief said. So, Chief, I'm challenging you because you have the authority vested in you by the local jurisdiction of the community that you serve. You have the authority based on Supreme Court precedent to arrest a federal agent for breaking the law in your jurisdiction. As I've said prior, Red Dog Police, City of Atlanta. Case in point, they've done it before. They did it to a few of them, actually. State of Georgia, once again, Georgia State Troopers have done it before. Years ago, yes, but it was done. Supreme Court upheld it as justifiable. Representatives Omar and AOC have responded to Trump's remarks. Here it is.
What's your response to that?
Well, that's an incredibly delusional statement. We've all seen the video. We've seen it on multiple angles. You can see no ICE agent falls to the ground. No one is run over. So to rewrite something that is still so visibly available on everywhere that people can see just shows how disturbingly delusional our president has become. But the people have their own eyes. They can make their own judgments.
Browns. So this is now turned into what our greatest fear is and has been for a long time around ICE, that this will be used as an anti-civilian force, that it has no accountability. At the end of the day, what we saw today is a murder. And murders in cold blood need to be prosecuted.
Put the chief of police back up. Chief O'Hara. Brother, I know this has to be one of the most difficult positions of your adult life. You have already told the truth. You told the truth in your report of what happened. If you do not hold them accountable, if you do not push this, you're not making a decision just for the people of Minnesota. You are making a decision for the people of this country, because this is how they work. They start small. They come to a jurisdiction. They get away with it. Then they go larger, and it continues. It is a disease. But you have the ability to arrest it right here, right now, in your city. You got them dead to the rights. There is no jury that would not convict based on the evidence that we see. In the aftermath, Representative Presley issued a statement, quote, "The murder of a woman in Minnesota by ICE agents in broad daylight is horrific and unacceptable. This harrowing tragedy should have never happened. And my heart breaks for the victim, the loved ones, and the entire Minnesota community." Rejecting the claims of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, which accused the victim is good of committing an act of domestic terrorism, which is what they came out with first. Presley asserted, quote, DHS's claim that an agent shot in self-defense is a bold-faced lie, and the video footage is damning, end quote. She continued, quote, but after I moved to subpoena all records and footage related to this killing, Republicans shamefully voted it down, demonstrating once again that they have never cared about law and order or keeping our community safe, end quote. A hospital record obtained by the Associated Press identified the woman as 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, though business records spelled her name as Renee Nicole Good. Calls and messages to the woman's family were not immediately returned. A hospital record obtained by the AP shows this. In social media accounts, Macklin Good described herself as a poet, a writer, a wife, and a mom who was from Colorado, but currently experiencing Minneapolis, and displayed a pride flag emoji. A profile picture shows her smiling and holding a young child against her cheek. Her daughter has now lost both biological parents. The woman was fatally shot by an immigration and customs enforcement officer Wednesday in Minneapolis, seemed, quote, obviously scared and was trying to leave. An eyewitness to the killing told HuffPost, disputing government claims that the ICE agent acted in self-defense. The victim was, quote, one of the kindest people I've ever known, end quote. A mother, Donna Ganger, told the Minnesota Star Tribune, quote, she's taken care of people all her life. She was loving, forgiving, and affectionate. She was an amazing human being. Put a picture back up. She took 2 bullets. She died for us to stand up against what's currently happening. She took 2 bullets. She paid the ultimate price because she loves people. The administration, they'll never take things like this for their love for people. They will simply try to eliminate individuals like her for their love for self, their love for power, the love of money. Her killing quickly drew a crowd of hundreds of angry protesters. This is at least the 5th death to result from the aggressive U.S. immigration crackdown by way of Trump's administration. They launched this last year. The first shooting during Operation Midway Blitz happened on September 12th in Franklin Park. An ICE agent targeting Silverio Villegas Gonzalez opened fire after he said Gonzalez refused law enforcement commands and drove his car at officers. At the time, DHS said the officer was hit and seriously injured, was the spin. And, quote, fearing for his own life, the officer fired his weapon. The victim was killed. But in body camera footage obtained by ABC7 and the I-Team, the federal agent who fired his weapon said his own injuries were nothing major. We reported on that at Indisputable. Friends and family of the 43-year-old man who was fatally shot by a Department of Homeland Security agent in Northridge on New Year's Eve gathered last week to hold a vigil. Courtesy of the Porter family. Agents have also shot other people. The Trace, the nonprofit news organization covering gun violence, has counted more than a dozen such shootings. In some cases, the victim survived, including a woman who suffered multiple bullet wounds in an incident in Chicago in October. The Border Patrol officer who shot her appeared to brag about it in the next message, later presented in court evidence. The message reportedly said, quote, I fired 5 rounds. and she has 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys, end quote. A lawyer for Marimar Martinez, the woman shot 5 times in Chicago, said body cam footage contradicts the government's account that she drove towards officers before they shot her, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. Assault charges against Martinez were dropped. A judge has ordered that the video be withheld from public release. It seems more than just coincidence that the pattern is similar. If there's a car and a person, there's a shooting. It sounds almost as if there's a culture or at least some command underneath the command that we know formally in the infrastructure of law enforcement. It seems as if somebody has told them, if you can shoot somebody in a car, and it seems as if they may be in your proximity, we will protect you. That's what it seems. Put up this victim again. Put up Ms. Good again. I want people to remember that evil does not thrive because bad people do bad things. They will always be among us. Evil thrives because good people sit back and do nothing. And that's a good person right there. And if you can't find a reason to get involved in this fight, can't find any other reason, let it be that this innocent person and the people whom I've just named died because of an administration policy called ICE. All right. Dear brother, thoughts here?
I mean, so many. I think it's hard to be articulate with a situation like this when there's a sense of boiling rage at the entire story. I think it's incredibly tragic. There's a sense of powerlessness, and there's also a hope that this galvanizes people to actually take action and resist this. I think it's important that ICE it's remembered that ICE is not new. You know, this has been around for a while. It's been around since the quote unquote war on terror. It's an extension of the military industrial complex, an extension of the police industrial complex. This was always going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. The brazen lying is just one facet of it. I mean, you have JD Vance, who's dismissing this abject murder because she was a quote unquote lunatic leftist. And I think that should tell you something about where they stand and how they look upon a good portion of this country, regardless of what your skin color is. I think this kind of behavior has also been happening by law enforcement for a very long time. What's notable about this is that it's so in our faces, and it's also not happening in like inner cities to Black and brown people. It's happening now in the suburbs. And the best case scenario, I think, is that this raises some kind of consciousness in people about what this is actually about. So it's absolutely horrible, I think. And it's, yeah, I mean, there's a million thoughts, but I guess that's kind of like the bullet points.
Yeah, well said. We'll bring you updates as they come, and we will see if the local law enforcement, we'll see if they pursue charges against ICE agents.